Hi guys, welcome to my creating comics workshop. My name is Win. Just a quick introduction. I've been working in the entertainment industry for about 10 years, mostly in comics. I've done storyboards, sketch cards, and posters also. Some of the clients I've worked for include Marvel, Netflix, and Upper Deck. There are several common products that I create as an artist for sale, and I'll show you how to do those in this class. Please take a look at the syllabus that I made for this course when you have time. There's a lot to cover, so let's get started. Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to construct a head using the Andrew Loomis method. The basic idea is to start off with a sphere, slice off the sides, drop a center line and an eyebrow line. Find the chin and then divide that vertical space into 3 or 3 1/3, including the hair. The hair would be 1/3. So from the hairline to the brow line is 1/3, and from the eye to the bottom of the nose is 1/3, and from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin is the last third. Just remember, when you're looking straight at the head, the bottom of the nose should be slightly above the original sphere. The top of the head is wider than the bottom of the head, so the slice would be at an angle inwards. The whole head is about 5 eyes wide. The nose, or the space between the eyes, is 1 eye width. That's the same width of the nose. And it's 5 eyes wide, including the ear. So if you look at the diagonal sidelines for the head from this view, if you align them with the top of the head, like a horizontal line across, if you divide that top line into 3 portions, the centered third is how wide the chin is. The center of the eyes also lines up there. And the outside boundaries of the lips also line up with the centered third division. The top of the brow lines up with the top of the ear, and where the bottom of the nose is lines up with the bottom of the ear. From the side view, the head fits into a square, and Andrew Loomis also divides the side up into 3 1/3. However, the 1/3 from the side view for him, it represents the back of the head. So the best way to do this is to measure the height. Use your pencil to measure the height, turn your pencil sideways and find your square. And then the front third, we're going to divide the front third into 3 parts. And you can transpose the vertical measurements, the hair, the brow, the nose. The jaw lines up to two-thirds of the way back. The ears attach at a backward tilt. The highest part of the head is more towards the back of the ear, or above the back of the ear. So we're going to divide the front third into 3 parts. The nose will come out 1/3 of the way of that division. And we're going to divide from the bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin into thirds. The first third is where the top lip meets the bottom lip. And the deepest part of the eye socket lines up to the first third. And for the back of the head, where it curves back in, that aligns with the bottom of the ear. The pit of the neck is also 1/3 of the way down. We'll get to that. Muscular guys have necks that are as thick as their head. So these are idealized proportions. So remember, the nose is kind of like a pyramid form. Drawing a couple of straight lines up from the widest part of the nose helps me find the inside corner of the eyes, or the width of the eyes. So at this point, I'm only concerned with construction. This is what Loomis is best for. So if you haven't used this method before, I suggest you practice a page in your sketchbook of using this method. Just gonna clean this up so you could see it a little bit better. So in the ideal proportions, you have an equilateral triangle when you draw a line between the outside of the corner of the eyes to the top of the lips. When we're going for likenesses later, you'll see that this triangle changes on different people because everybody has a different proportion. So a great way to get likeness is to first measure the thirds. Ask yourself which third is the biggest, which third is the smallest. Look at the triangle relationship. And we'll get into details later. So let's look at some reference. How would you construct this using the Andrew Loomis method? If you have tracing paper, or if you print this out, you could put tracing paper on top of your printout. Otherwise, use your iPad and load a photograph of a portrait and put a piece of typing paper on top and try to construct the head using the Andrew Loomis method. Where would the sphere be? Where would the side of the head be? Try to see the perspective. Are we looking up at him? Which in this case we are. Where does his jaw actually end? Try to see it underneath the hair. And where are the boundaries of his eye sockets? Where's his hairline? The purpose of this exercise is to learn how to construct that head, not necessarily to draw all the hairs or all the details. We're learning how to see, how to simplify something complex down so that we can understand what's going on underneath. So when the mouth opens, remember where the hinge is. So where we would normally draw the head if her mouth was closed, the chin would be higher. So when somebody makes a grimace, their nose looks a little bit shorter and wider. The wings flare up. So if you look at the eyebrow, the brow line and the bottom of the nose line right here, that midsection is really small compared to where the bottom of the nose is to where the bottom of the chin is. But if her mouth was closed, her head would be this shape. And if she wasn't grimacing, her nose would look a little longer. If you have a drawing software or an app that lets you use layers, you can put a transparent white layer on top of your photo to make it feel like you're looking through a tracing paper. So here's her head with her mouth opened. We're also looking up at her face, so we should be seeing the bottom of her nose, but this is the basic construction of it. Alright, so this is a still from a film called The Artist. I just chose it because there's lots of different head angles, and we can practice using the construction method that we learned to try to construct the heads at different angles. Give this a shot on your iPad with a piece of paper on top if you have an iPad, or if you have a drawing software, or if you want to print this out and do it on tracing paper, that's fine. This is just to learn how to construct, so the easiest way to do that is just to draw over an underlay. Once we get used to this method, we can just draw from the reference on a separate piece of paper, or without having to rely on the underlay. But for now, we're just learning how to construct, how to see. So this is a great way of learning it really fast. So the neck and shoulders kind of look like a clothes hanger if we were to simplify it. And on females, we usually like to draw longer necks because it just looks more elegant. The nose is a feature that never stops growing, so the older you get, the bigger your nose is. It's same with the ears. The lips actually go in the opposite direction. When you get old, the lips get thinner. When you're young, the lips are fuller. The eyes are bigger in young people, and they get smaller. Younger people have tend to have bigger foreheads. If you look at a baby, it will be obvious. A good practice too is once you've got the sphere, the center line and the brow line, and the jaw in, is to just hide the image and try to complete the rest of the head from memory on your own. It doesn't have to look exactly like the person, it just needs to look solid. That's the purpose of this exercise, is trying to get a head to look solid. So the next step is looking at the planes of the head. The sculpture was made by John Asaro. He's an instructor at Art Center about 40 years ago. He's a painter, but he's famous for creating this planes of the head sculpture. And I'm going to demonstrate how to draw the head from a few different angles than we've looked at before. The great thing with the sculpture is everything is squared off and it's easier to measure. It's a great tool to use when you're trying to study how lighting works, where the cast shadows would be, and to know where one feature ends and another begins, or the planes where they turn, basically. It's much easier to see it when it's squared off, as opposed to looking at Loomis where everything is kind of rounded, especially in the chin and jaw area. So from the bottom of the head, it's like looking up at a cylinder. The ears will be lower down, and we'll see much more of the upper lip, the fullness of the upper lip, than we would on the lower lip. We get really dramatic foreshortening, so all the planes on the top part of the head looks very thin and narrow. Everything up there is very compressed, and we see the underside of everything, the bottom of the nose, the bottom of the top lip, the bottom of the eye sockets, and the bottom of the chin, of course. It's a good idea to draw your construction lines right through the head, so that you can align the ears. Always try to see how one part relates to another. Never just look at one feature at a time and then move your eyes around, because you'll find that by the time you get from one eye to the ear and then to the other ear, your measurements would be off. So always try to see the big picture. So the next head is looking down at the head. You could see that the forehead is divided into 3 planes. The nose looks like a V shape from this angle. You'll see the more of the bottom lip. The top lip will look thinner, and the ears will be higher up. The trickiest part in this angle is making the neck look normal. And also the eyes, you'll see a lot more of the upper eyelid. And lastly, we have the 3/4 back view of the head. The important part to look at in this angle is the part that sticks out the furthest from the back of the head. It's about mid-ear level, and where it comes back in to meet the neck, it's about the bottom of the ear level. That's the important proportion to see in this angle. And to show the depth, the chin should go behind where the neck connects to the jaw. That's the easiest way to show the depth, because the neck is closer to us than the chin. So to make sure things are in perspective, just draw lines right through the head and line the ears up. Make sure everything lines up in perspective. If the lines don't line up and you have like a trapezoid instead of parallel lines, that's when things start to fall apart and look strange. The nose looks super complex, but it's not that crazy in reality. There's just 3 parts: the middle part, and then the wings,